What's up, everybody? This is Caramel. Did you figure out your new nickname? Well, he's gonna be Butterscotch until we can figure out.
Let's butter it up.
Chef Butterscotch, to be exact. Okay.
Let's do it.
So we are missing our dear friend Chocolat.
I know, man.
I know. So
Sucks.
hey, Chocolate, because I know you're gonna watch it.
Should've
So
been here.
shout out to
It'd
you.
been hilarious.
It would have been even more funny with you here.
We still gotta do Gemini Man.
Yeah.
We didn't do it yet.
Oh
so,
yeah, you know.
You know what I mean? Like,
So
what's up?
we're gonna do 2 movie reviews, but we're gonna separate these, okay? This first one we're gonna do is Harriet.
Yeah.
I just saw Harriet yesterday at theater.
Yeah, I saw it as well.
He saw it as well.
Don't worry about my methods of seeing things. Just know I
Just
saw
know
it.
he saw it. Okay, so you want to start, or you want me to start?
I don't know. I think you should start just because I have more questions first.
Okay.
Then I can kind of dig into the meat of how I felt about it. But yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to start by saying I really enjoyed this movie. But I went in from a perspective of, okay, I work with youth, those who don't know.
I used to.
Yeah. Right now, I'm working with 16 to 21, but I have experience working
All of them.
All of them, okay? So I work with a population who do not know our history.
And don't care either what
No.
you said.
They don't. If I would have asked them about Harriet Tubman, they would be like, ain't that girl that like ran away? That would be.
The sad part is, the one that went AWOL.
She went AWOL.
Like,
That literally would be, and he knows because we used to work together. That's how we know each other.
I was her boss.
Oh, jeez. Only for the last couple of years. Okay.
That's okay.
Because he cared to be a boss. I had no desire. I don't manage.
That's
adults.
why I'm not there now.
But yeah, he's no longer there. So I come in with that perspective that our youth do not know our story, and even if they get just a little piece of it, that would be great. So for me, this movie was good. Mm-hmm. It was entertaining. It was inspiring. She acted her butt off.
Oh yeah.
She sung her butt off. And
she's in that.
Okay, so our Negro spirituals were a huge factor in our freedom and just in our livelihood.
The one scene where she sung
She sung throughout the whole movie. Now, she wasn't like, whoa, whoa.
Right, obviously.
But she was hitting her.
Okay, so those little parts where you heard the songs
she would be hiding in the bushes.
I only saw the one part they did that. That's why I wasn't sure if it was her the whole part. Because you hear the background music. I didn't know it was her, so.
Yeah, she did that probably about three or four times.
Okay.
And the songs were good songs. Like, it was a couple of songs.
Sweet.
Yeah. There's a couple of songs I had not heard, and I was like, I like this song.
That's my freedom music.
Even the theme song at the end, I think it may have been called Stand, and I believe she sung it. Okay. What's her name again? Cynthia? Let me look her. I gotta look her name up, y'all. You on the computer.
To the phone.
Yeah.
Phone person.
Can you tell us what her name is?
You gave me my phone.
Before I say her name.
Yes.
It's like Cynthia Enthrall and Revo.
Can you look up Harriet? Or you're on the computer. Fact checker. Thank you, fact checker.
Yes. Because
we have a fact checker right here.
Names always skip me, but
right.
You want to know who played Harriet Tubman?
Yes.
Yes. Because I don't want to say her name
I don't know
wrong.
any of the other cast for real. I think they were relative.
Janelle Monáe was in this movie. But as far as everybody else.
Yeah, everybody else. But the one black dude's been in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't know his name either. Don't give me the line.
Yeah.
Which we need to know more black cinema actors.
We gotta know. We gotta be better. Remember us different.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So she acted her butt off.
Yeah.
She did a really good job, and everybody else acted as well.
You got it?
They did really good. Oh, good job.
IMDb.
Double checking, making sure I have the right name before I give it to you.
Okay.
Okay. Un momento.
Cynthia Erivo?
Cynthia Erivo.
There we go.
She's a British actress.
A lot of the Brits be playing us, man.
Mm-hmm. But she did a wonderful job.
Man,
you could feel.
You could
feel it. Excuse me.
Now
I feel like I at the end, I cried a little bit, just a little. Not, I wasn't boo-boo balling, but couple came down because I could feel and I could see the fear and oh my gosh, what's the other word I want to use?
Anxiety, sense of dread. I mean,
there was so much fear and so much work and anguish that Harriet, the real Harriet, had to go through.
Because even this movie
downplays even depict
like when
it
you
all.
When you think about that era, I mean, it's the height of slavery. This
Yes.
is pre-Civil War.
Yes.
So you have to understand that there were no pleasantries, and even the beginning of the movie, though, when they spoilers like.
Yeah, spoilers, y'all.
The sad part is the fact that we have to say spoilers, but we're here. Just make that make sense. For
we
a second.
are spoiling this movie, but yeah,
surprise,
really,
we're free.
Yeah,
no,
it really brought it to light. Like,
right.
Dang.
But what I was saying is like just the beginning when they in this scene, and me and you differ on certain opinions, even when it comes to spirituality.
Yep.
But when you see when it opens, they're at church, and you see the typical obey your master's sermon, where be in subjection to them, and even when they're not around, be your best slave self. Be all the slave you can be.
Make slavery great again. You get on my nerves.
What? It was in the movie. I didn't do it. But you see it, and right after this sermon, literally they go and they talk to Master like, look, man, the Harriet's husband at the time, and also her name wasn't Harriet initially, it was
Aramintis. Aramintis Ross, and they called her Minty.
Minty, like winter fresh, and he was free, and he went up and he was like, hey, look, I'm free. I talked to a lawyer. You're supposed to let my wife and her people go, like, what, 5 years, 10 years earlier, because the mom, like 45 or whatever, they were supposed to let everybody go.
Yeah, Minty's mom at that point was free. Like, there was a contract that she was supposed to be let go at the age of 45.
Yeah.
And so they had passed that age, and so, like he said, Harriet and her free husband, Harriet was not free, but her free husband went up to the master, which was dangerous.
Right.
In itself.
Like, they could have just
about
killed him
some
regardless.
lawyer, yeah.
Right. Like, give us free.
Yeah, like, we got the papers. Here's the papers. This is what's really supposed to go down.
And he looked at them like, nigga, please.
Yeah,
It's terrible. Such a terrible thing. But he did. He was like, really? Nigga, get out of here. And he tore it up. He tore up the paper and was like, get off my property. You come back again, I'm going to kill you. Like, period. Your wife is mine. Nigga, you free going about your day.
Pretty much.
But she belonged to me. Her and all them other nigglets out there, they're mine.
They ain't gonna never be free.
And so, like, after this, like, she darts off into the woods, right? And it was funny. But, like, and I'll say this, too. The whole movie has a lot of spiritual undertones because she prays a lot. She has visions a lot. That's how they depict her in this situation where she's prophetic and, she's able to maneuver with God's help. But, like, she goes and she's praying. And the sun. Save when her son comes up, and this part really, it made me mad. It made me mad, but it's how they viewed us. And still today, some people view us. He likened her to a pig. A pet pig.
Yeah.
And he said either you have it as a pet till it dies and you gotta put it down, or you kill it to eat it. And he had no feelings for her any kind of way. He said, look, you're my property. I could care less at this point. So if I have to put you down or sell you, it is what it is.
Now, she was praying for her slave owner's death.
Yes, I was going to say that.
Oh.
Yeah,
I skipped.
But, yeah, she was in there really...
And she could have been killed...
Just for that.
Just
for wishing death on him. Yeah. Praying death.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because, it's a sign of distension, and they don't want that in the midst, because you get one slave talking that kill, and they're like, oh, what? Okay, we're all going to move like this. Some of them. Not all of them, because that's going to come later in the thing, too. But, so, like, him catching her doing that, did he punch her that time or slap her in that one?
I think he just slapped her.
Because he punches her later. Like, he does. And, you know, so from that, you know, the funny thing is that shortly after, he died. So it was kind of...
Yeah, that prayer worked.
Right. God was like, a word? Yeah, you gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
He pushed that button on him.
And so then that caused Gideon to be the new owner, the new slave owner. And so they were experiencing financial hardship on the plantation, the Brodus family.
That was hilarious.
And so he's like, look, we need to sell some of these slaves so we can get our money back.
And the mom's panicking, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
If you ever want to see black or white fear, that is white fear.
She did a good job displaying that.
Yes, she was in the bed like she was sick, like she had the fucking plague. Like, oh my gosh, what we gonna do?
What's going on?
The plantation only worth 5,000. The slaves a piece is that. What's we gonna do?
Yeah, it was real.
It was crazy.
So Minty got to a point where she started having visions. Her sisters had been sold. It
was the one sister, wasn't it?
In the movie, they showed the one sister,
and the other sister still stayed on.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know where the original sister went. She just knew she was gonna get sold off.
Yeah, and then Minty knew that she was next.
Right.
In the movie.
Right.
And so Minty got to a place where she's like, you know what? It's either freedom or death at this point. I'm out of here. I'm not doing this no more.
At all.
She didn't want her husband to go with her because she feared that he would lose his freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And so she dipped out on him and everybody.
And she did that thing. Mm-hmm. Listen.
5 foot.
Listen, she was like, all right, look, I'm done. She went to everybody she needed to and was like, look, Ma, look, Pops, I'm out. She told her husband, look, dude, stay here. I know you want to come, but let me do this real quick. Let me get right and we're going to figure it out. And yeah.
Now, her father was a free man.
Yeah.
Her mother was enslaved.
Mm-hmm.
So her father gave her tips like, okay, the minister that was preaching about being obedient to your master, go to him. And she's like, Dad. Right. He just said.
He told me
to be obedient. He said, "Do as I told you."
Right.
Because he knew that minister was fighting for a bigger cause than what he was preaching.
Abolishment, right? Mm-hmm. And he had to do.
He just had to do what he had to do.
And you got to remember, in that time, we had to be more strategic. That's another thing. Like even today, when we see a lot of these protests or people, there's a lot of talk. Like no one says you have to be violent, but enough talking. Like start putting programs into place. Like we can plan things. There's rules and laws. So even with that, at a time of lawlessness, where it didn't matter, you're black, you go wherever. They had to plan out how to start to strategically move away from the South, and you actually see the beginning makings of the Underground Railroad, which is kind of crazy. Like you see the groundwork being laid throughout her journey.
Going to Dad. Okay, now go to the pastor.
Right.
Okay, now you go to this person.
Right. And then when you see this, you see a lamp, or you see a cloth, or you see they don't necessarily talk about it.
It's not set up yet.
But if you watch, as she's running through, you see certain things that if you do read, you'll like, oh, that's a marker for Underground Railroad House or whatever. Certain things, signified that it was a safe haven.
Yeah. So she travels alone first, and she goes to Philadelphia
from
Maryland.
Yeah.
And she travels 100 miles by foot.
So pretty much Baltimore.
And she by the time she made it,
she was exhausted.
She was out of it, like delirious.
Yeah. But you know what I'll say?
Darn near half dead.
But when she made it to Philly, and she talked to that black merchant, and he was like, "Sister, walk like you belong here. Mm-hmm. Don't let them see you with your head down. Walk like you have a purpose here." And
she had to, because she was gonna look like a runaway.
Right, they was gonna get her and take her right back down there.
No, in that moment they may have not, but once that act came,
it's still property though. It's like returning cattle.
Yeah, somebody would have.
Right, like I get that.
Just because you free don't mean it's cool up here.
Yeah, right.
It's
Freedom
not.
isn't free.
Yeah, like don't think you out here just doing what you want.
So when she went to the abolitionist office, she was able to pick a new name, hence Harriet Tubman. And he really kind of...
Harriet came from her mother's real name. Her mother's real name was Harriet, and Tubman was her husband's.
Which I would have been pissed afterwards, like, we'll get there in a second.
So she stays there for like a year.
Yeah.
And she runs into Janelle Monáe's character, who kind of takes her in, takes care of her, becomes a friend to her.
Like a sister, for real.
Yeah.
She was a mentor, sister, encouragement. And that's one thing I did like, too. It was seeing black women not at a time where they're tearing each other down, but building each other up. Because she's giving her pointers like, hey, you're free now. You don't have to feel like that. You know, it's teaching her to walk with her head up. Because you think, in the South, you can't look nobody now. You're like, yes, I'm boss. Yes, I'm not.
Nobody lifted.
I was a good girl. I was going to go pick that cotton right there. I don't see you up there. You couldn't do that. So she's like, nah, F that. You up here now. You rock this.
She humanized her.
Right.
I enjoyed that because we got to see variations of people. Like he just mentioned, in the South, it's very docile. You got your head down. You're not looking up. You're very obedient, even childlike. But in the North, they are free. They're confident. They're standing up. They're
spoiled.
They're heads held high, back straight.
Right.
So you also got to see black people who weren't so happy about what Harriet was trying to do.
Right.
So,
well, but even the doubt that he had in her at first, he was like, "You free? What the hell is you doing?" He was like, "It takes planning for all of this, like months. What you trying to do?" She's like, "Look, I got this. Are you gonna be in my way, or you with me? What's the deal?" And
they were right there. They're doing what she was doing. There's no room for fear.
Oh yeah, no room for fear.
Fear will get you killed.
Listen, fear or margin for error. Like you gotta, and we'll get to that too in a second. Because trust me, this whole next section is a whole thing. But so what she does is she's just like, "Look, I'm gonna go." So Janelle Monáe's character actually teaches her how to shoot a gun. Like actually helps her with target practice. They don't go through the whole target practice thing, but obviously they were training for stuff.
And Harriet Tubman was quite nice with the gun.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, she was.
It goes down in history that she was quite nice with the gun.
She was bad with it.
So she has a premonition, because the head injury that she... Okay, let me go back.
Right.
This was not
When she was
portrayed
13,
in the
right?
movie, which I might have to get my charger. But this was not portrayed in the movie, but Harriet Tubman at the age of about 12 or 13, her slave, I don't know if it was even her slave master.
It was the father.
White man.
No, it was the father.
Okay.
Because
threw some kind of weight at another black person, like another slave, and she was in the middle of it. And it accidentally hit her. So she had a scar on her head. And it caused her to have like epileptic
episodes and
narcoleptic episodes as well. So she would have terrible migraines. So she had a disability.
Right.
But even in that disability, she would say that she had visions from God, which I totally believe.
I do too.
Ain't no way she done went through 100 miles.
Well, he knocked
1 mile. I'm like, all right.
Well, he knocked her prophetic.
I've done enough.
Well, technically, he made her an X-Men. That was her origin story. She's Professor X.
I hate the whole she's a superhero concept.
That was a joke.
I know yours was a joke, but that's
they do that. They
controversial.
right.
Once we get into that part of
right.
this video,
well, there's a lot to that too, and honestly, we're gonna dig into a lot of the other misconceptions and stuff too. But with everything though, the way they portray her, she did have visions. The one thing that pissed me off though, I'm not gonna lie, she'd be in the middle of something and she would fall out.
But look, if she got narcolepsy or epilepsy, she have a seizure or whatever, a situation while they on their journey.
Look, but that's what I'm saying.
You're darn near dead.
But the one partner behind her, she and falls out. I'm like, I'm not following her. What the hell just happened
that's
here?
Why he would be dead.
I'm like, wait a minute. No, I'm just joking. But she fell out. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. We're following somebody who's special. But no, but she did have those things, and she honestly was able to, and we can dig into this now. So she finally does go back, and the first interaction she has is with the sheriff in, I guess, Baltimore County or whatever that is, and he asks for her papers. Now, they explain to you, like, when she first gets there, the papers aren't going to exactly match her, but it'll match her enough. So, like, whoever the person was had a scar like hers, so she was like, hey, I got a scar. And he was like, okay, so it goes the whole 9. But when you first roll up on her, She was ready for that action.
Oh, yeah.
Because she just had her hand behind her back at the pistol, like, I'm about to just bob him in the face and keep it pushing.
Well, they said she had a little temper.
Right. So she was about to go ahead and take his tater. It was about to be mashed taters everywhere. No gravy. So
Mashed taters, though?
Mashed taters.
Oh, my gosh.
Mashed taters everywhere. Hey, man, sometimes you gotta put them down. But she didn't, and she kind of ate right under the surge protectors right there. But under
you might have to come do this, and I don't know if this is long enough. Man, I have an extension cord.
I do have another one.
you can unplug that and just pull it over. Like all the stuff that's plugged into it, the record player, and is your laptop charged enough so you can take it? Just unplug all of that.
Okay.
Un momento. That's just the record player. So and that's the you go right into there.
Oh, so it'll reach.
Yeah, it'll reach.
Okay. Yeah, you might be able to leave that.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, cool. I knew it would work out. Sorry, y'all, for the pause. You know, technology
Right.
can't be trusted.
Darn technology. Hey,
I don't know. This will fit in here with this in here.
It should. You might have to take it off for a second and then.
Because I just don't want it to die. We got good content so far.
Right.
Last thing you want is for it to die, people. Okay, so he sees the papers.
Right.
Shizzle.
If we need to shift.
We may need to shift and put that. Okay, now come over there. Sorry, people. But we on 14%, and the last thing I need.
Well, no, you just move the chair over a little bit. You can't put it there.
Oh, okay.
Just slide the chair.
Last thing I need is for us to lose 20 minutes of our conversation.
Go right here.
Okay. No worries.
You are the worst. You can actually pick up the surge protector at this point and sit it on the table, on the chair.
Okay.
Because it's close enough now.
It's close enough now.
Right. I don't know what you did.
Okay.
Alright.
How do I put this in
Pull
here?
it back up. You push it down a little bit. No, the plastic.
You do it. I'm going to sit down.
I did not sign up to be the tech person today.
He's the tech person.
Tech is not what I wanted to do, people.
All right. I can see me. I don't know if we'll see you.
Well, I gotta see if we can see me.
You might have to scoot over so you can be in the screen.
Maybe. You look too far away now.
Okay.
Alright. Switch sides.
All right. We back. Sorry.
Should I pull it back a little bit?
It's cool.
Okay.
All right, y'all. So he sees her papers.
Yes.
It has the scar,
Yes.
but it does not have her correct height. And actually, the real Harriet Tubman was quite short. I read that she was like 4'11".
Yeah. He's like, you're not quite 5. So, but she said, I must have been wearing my tall boots that day.
That was a good excuse.
I had my tall boots on.
I had my tall boots.
Tall
the
boots.
ones with the heels.
Right.
So she made it through. She made it past him. Now, you know what I think about a lot, though? How often were they just ripping up those papers?
Oh, all the time.
I bet.
All the time.
It's like you got these papers, like you come and you finally got your freedom papers. You finally got some kind of documentation that kind of...
But you know what? Let me push it back a little bit because I'm like struggling to be seen it. There we go. But the problem is too, at that time, it wasn't as prevalent. That the tearing up the papers didn't happen until after a lot more of the slave revolt and the Slave Act was passed.
I could imagine.
Because they got tired of losing their slaves. Mm-hmm. So if you went down south, you didn't have to belong to nobody. It was like 12 years a slave. Mm-hmm. That, even though that was a fictitious story, that was happening where people would go up north, drug you, and take you back down south. They're not going to believe you. You're black. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You know, she actually got lucky with that. But also she was ready for the bullshit. Because if he would have tried that, she'd have just shot him in the face and kept pushing. Because that's kind of where she was at in that moment. Because the slaves behind her. because there's slaves behind her, and they see her cock the gun, they see her cock the pistol, and they're like, oh, okay, I don't know what's about to happen here, but let's watch.
Yeah.
And they're just watching like, oh, okay, she about to shoot that man. Okay. But she gets past him, come morning. No, does she go see the pastor? No, she doesn't see the pastor, man. She sees the husband in the morning, right?
She sees the husband first.
Yeah, she goes to him first.
And he actually lets her know that he took another wife. He was told because Harriet had jumped in the river.
Right. Sorry, we skipped over that when she escaped. Yeah.
Her first time escaping, she had jumped in the river in front of her slave master. Because she's like, look, I'm going to die or I'm going to be free. It's going to be one of the two.
Right.
Free or free.
Right. Free 99.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So because she jumped in that water,
right.
Her husband found that out and was told that she was dead.
Right.
So he took another wife. The wife was pregnant. And
yeah, he was like, this ain't going to work.
Yeah.
Have a nice life. I'm gonna go home now.
He was sad about it.
He was slightly sad. He
didn't
cried a little bit, but he wasn't all broke up.
So she was really hurt because her thought was, I'm supposed to come back to get my husband.
Right. That was her motivation.
What's being free if I ain't got my man with me?
Right. She wanted her love, her boot that.
But that happened, so she's like, okay, God must have sent me here for some other purpose.
Some bigger reason.
And she ended up bringing several more slaves.
Was it 7 the first time?
Something like that.
Unexpected
she had a whole
7?
baby. Listen here, had it been me?
I don't know.
That baby
might not have came with me. I'm like, nah, B.
You hear me? That baby would have been there. I'm so sorry.
I'm like,
wait till he get of age.
Yeah, but he can shut the hell up.
Yeah,
right now he can't shut up.
Yeah, so he can't control nothing. But I heard later that they actually like sedated some of the babies.
Yeah, they had like small sedatives that they would use. So the same stuff they would use for like baby surgeries or toothaches. So like, here, take a little bit of this. Take some shine.
Shut him up.
Give the baby some shine.
So she successfully brought that group.
But in that journey, she brought her brother. This man, I'm sorry. There was a point where, hold on, back up. There's 2 situations here. The owner realized that she was back, and he found a tracker. Actually, when she ran the first time, there was a tracker. There was a black guy. There was 2 of them, and what happened is the first encounter, the younger one, you're mad at him the first time you meet him because you're like, oh, you just selling niggas out, like, oh, you on that team. And
because he's watching her in the woods and
writing
down everything.
Write down what she's doing. But the first time, but this before she left. Remember, he saw her as the slave owner was leaving the plantation. He was like, hey boss, I heard you looking for somebody. I got some information.
He was trying to die.
Well,
like that.
I mean, he got a nickel? He got a nickel for his trouble. But he was about to shoot him in the face. He was like, oh, yeah, it's Harriet. She over there. Yeah, you might want to go get that. But he hired another one. And this is where it makes you mad. It's those black dudes or those black people who will sell you out. And just as quick, they don't care.
Slave hunter.
Yeah, a black slave hunter. And you're like, dude, for real? Like, I get you free, but damn, son. You gotta get everybody else?
He was like Uncle Ruckus.
Uncle Ruckus ain't got nothing on him. He was
worse.
Yeah.
Uncle Ruckus.
For those who don't know, is a Boondocks character, but it's just
and the one what is his name?
Stink Meaner.
Django.
Is it not Jonathan? No.
It's the Samuel Jackson play.
Is it Jonathan?
I can't think of his name, but he was one of those.
Damn you, Django! You nigga! But he was definitely one of those. He was definitely a sell you out type of person.
For sure. And
it was also crazy when it was like he actually played him kind of raw too, because he told the slave owner was going to give up $300 if anybody could catch her, and he was like, I'll take 2. They can split the 100 amongst themselves. And the owner was like, nigga, what you gonna do with $200? And he said, it'll buy me enough white whores to satisfy me. And that dude was like, oh, word? Like, you see it in his face, it's like, this nigga.
Bold.
He was like, oh, okay, this what you about. Okay, let me not. Right. So you had these 2 black characters in the early part of the movie who were about catching other blacks and re-enslaving them. So when you get to this point where she's doing her first rescue mission and her brother's involved, the younger guy is in the trees and he's watching and he gave word that they'll be coming through this way shortly. And this is where I told you this whole falling out thing was tripping me out though. She gets there and she falls out. And she's like, what's wrong with her? And he's like, we can't go that way. We gotta go this way.
Danger.
Right. She was very X-Men at this point. She's like, oh no. So they go.
Oh no.
Now, they go a different way and they come to a river. Now, I thought it was about to get real raw. I was like, they about to do the X-Men right here. I thought she was about to be Moses for real
geez.
and part the river. I was like, yo, she do that. I'm telling you, she was the best slave freer ever.
Oh
this
my
didn't
God.
happen. But, so she gets to the water and you have older people, you have the baby, but her brother in particular, where he's like, I ain't getting in that water. They gonna drown. We ain't doing this. He's like, y'all gonna follow me now. So now all of a sudden, he got freedom balls.
Freedom balls? I'm done with you.
What? It's like liquor ball. You know, when you get drunk, you like, all right, do anything. He felt that little taste of freedom. Was like, oh, I'm free. He wasn't free yet. He got freedom balls. The lower region. So he tried to talk tough for a second, and she told him, listen, point blank, period.
I run this.
This is my show. And either you going this way or you going down. He wasn't going back. And it's her brother. She was going to shoot that man in the face.
You know what? It was that real though, and I heard that's a real thing. Like,
yeah.
Because you can jeopardize
Everybody.
the whole group if
Right.
you go back.
Right.
You might tell, they might torture you to
Right.
tell, or
So you gotta go.
maybe they see where your track is.
Yo.
Look.
I was not opposed to her shooting him in the face. I was like, hey man, you going, listen, I'm gonna be honest. This is gonna sound harsh, but this is facts about me. I've had conversations with my mom, I've had conversations with my friends. I said if we were in time of slavery and it's my freedom versus your life, I will put you down. I have no problems, qualms, or quarrels. I'm getting off that plantation. So if you are in my way of freedom, I'm gonna do what I gotta do, but you ain't gonna be here no more. So
He would be the black slave hunter.
I would not. I only play one on TV.
That's a song. I know where they is at.
I only play one on TV. Not for there's colorism in here, because I'm a little lighter than you.
He would be in the kitchen. He would be in the house
That's not
slave.
lighter than me.